Okay, moving further. Now, as per the features, as per the examples that I shared with you, and the meaning and the parties I discussed with you, now what are the essentials of any contract of bailment which is valid one? The first essential is there has to be a delivery of possession. There has to be a person who's the owner of the goods, and he is to give the possession of his own goods to somebody else. This is the first feature, the first essential, delivery. And this delivery can be of three types. It may be a physical delivery, like the pet was physically handed over to the other person, or it can be a symbolic delivery, like in case of car delivery, they would have given the car keys to the other person, not the car itself, because physical delivery of car is not possible. Or it can also be a constructive delivery. Constructive delivery means goods are not actually transferred, or they are not symbolically transferred. Goods remain at the same place as they were before the delivery, but now the delivery has taken place. Like, see this example, see this case which is there in your book also, Kali Perumal versus Visalakshmi. In this case, there was a lady who had some old jewelry. She went to a jeweler and she told him that I wanted to make some new jewelry out of the old one. So he said, okay. And that lady kept a box in the same shop of the jeweler, stored that jewelry in lock and key, and told that person, I'll be coming every day in the morning and I'll be giving you the jewelry out of that box. You can mend the jewelry, make a new one, and once again in the evening, I'll come back. I'll take away the jewelry which is made by you. We'll keep that in the same box and put that in lock and key and go away. So she used to do the same thing every day. So every day when she used to hand over the jewelry, jewelry was already there at the same place. There was no movement of the goods, movement of the jewelry. But it was a constructive delivery where the goods are at the same place, but yet something is done to make a delivery of the goods. So the first essential, delivery of the goods. Second is there has to be a contract between the parties for the same. Like the cases which I discussed with you earlier, in the first case, there were clear terms that you are supposed to take the car, you cannot ride it on the highway, you have to return it before 11. Then in the second case, the terms were that there's some hourly charge, so you are going to give me hourly charges. In the third case, instructions were given 7 days I'll be away and you have to feed the pet, you have to bathe the pet, and you have to take good care of the pet. So that means there has to be some kind of a contract, some kind of terms of the contract between those parties. Third, now this delivery from bailer to the bailee is always for some purpose. Like in the first case, purpose was to go on the dinner. In the third case, the purpose was to take a good care of the pet in your absence. So there's some purpose always involved in the contract, and delivery is done for accomplishing that purpose. And after that purpose is accomplished, those goods are to be returned back. Either they will be returned to the bailee, the owner of the goods, or the bailee might have said, the bailer, or the bailer might have said, okay, after the due date, after the completion of your purpose, you hand over my car to my friend, not to me, to my friend. So whatever bailer says, you have to follow that. You have to either return the goods to the bailer himself or do something as per what his instructions are. So these are the four essentials of the contract of bailment. And through those three examples, we also discussed indirectly types of bailment. The first type of bailment which we discussed was in the first case and the second case. In the first case, there was no consideration between the parties regarding the exchange of the car. You can see in this case one, there was no charges were being charged by the friend for the car. In second case, hourly charges were there. So the first case will be said to be non-gratuitous payment. And the second case, where charges are going to be there, will be said to be gratuitous bail. Sorry, it's reverse one. The first case is the gratuitous bailment because there's no charge. The second case is non-gratuitous bailment. So that means the bailment can be with consideration, the bailment can be without consideration as well. Second classification or types of bailment can be on the basis of the benefit. Now, in the first and the second case, Raghav was to take that car, he was to use that car. So the car was, in the first case, the car was for the benefit of Raghav only. But in the second case, Raghav was going to get a car and the taxi hirer was also going to get some charges, some fee for the hire charges. So that means both the bailer and the bailee, they were having some mutual benefit because of that contract of bailment of the car. And now take the case third. In case third, it was for the benefit of the bailer. Bailer was giving you his pet because he was going away. So it was for his benefit that his friend, his neighbor said, okay, I will keep the pet with me. So that means from there we can understand that bailment can be either for the exclusive benefit of the bailer, or it can be for the exclusive benefit of the bailee, or it can be for the benefit of both the parties. All three cases are the types of bailment, right? And another third category can also be there, which is not mentioned in your book, but that is also a type. The bailment can be voluntary bailment, where you yourself intentionally hand over the goods to somebody else, or it can also be involuntary bailment. Involuntary bailment can also be said to be bailment by operation of law. Herein we'll discuss the case of finder of lost goods. I hope you remember you have done this topic in your quasi contracts, but again at length we are going to study about it in the later pages in the same chapter itself. So these are the various types of bailment. Moving forward, the next topic, which is very important for long answer type questions we are going to discuss is these two parties, bailer and bailee, what are their rights and duties? So one by one, we are going to discuss the duties of bailee and duties of bailer, then rights of bailee and the rights of bailer. So first, we'll begin with the duties of the bailee. Now, bailee, who's the bailee? Bailee is a person who received the goods, who got the delivery of the goods. So he has certain duties under these sections 151 and 152. The first and the foremost duty that he has is he has taken away somebody else's goods. So long as the goods are lying with him for a purpose, for that purpose, he is supposed to take good, reasonable care of the goods. He has to safely preserve those goods with him. And if he takes good care of the goods and still the goods get damaged or there's some loss of the goods, he will not be held responsible. But if he was negligent and because of his negligence, the goods got damaged, goods got destroyed, then he will have to compensate the loss of the bailer. Thirdly, in case the goods have got lost because of some act of God, there was some fire, there was some kind of floods were there, and that those goods which were transferred to you, they got damaged. It's beyond your control. It's not your fault. It's not your negligence. Then you are not going to suffer the losses. Otherwise, you are supposed to take good care of the goods, and in case you don't, you fail to do that, you are supposed to make good the loss of the bailer for the goods so not taken care of. Moving further, the second duty that this bailee has is he is supposed to make only authorized use of the goods. You have taken the car to go for dinner and he instructed you, please don't go on highway and please come back before 11 p.m. So that means if you are not following those instructions, you are making an unauthorized use of the goods. And because of that unauthorized use, if there is some damage of the goods, some loss of the goods, in that case, you will have to make good the loss of the bailer again. Now, even if you were not negligent here, you were taking very good care of the car, but you were asked not to take that car on the highway, and you took away the car on highway, and there was a big pot in the on the road, and the car got damaged because of that. You were very carefully driving, but the car got damaged. Now, because you have made an unauthorized use, in this case, it is your duty that you will have to compensate for this loss. And even the bailer can cancel your contract. In case he comes to know that you are taking that car on highway, he can say, no, give my car back. I don't want to give you car because you are intending to go it on a highway. So he can also terminate the contract of bailment. Another duty is duty not to mix his own goods with the goods of the bailer. Now he's got certain goods from the bailer, and he also has similar goods with himself also. Like, let me take you with this example. This example says Hari had 10 quintal of red carrots. Bali also had carrots, but those were orange colored carrots. Now, Bali was going to sell those carrots in the market and to sell it to FCI, Food Corporation of India. So Hari said, why don't you also take my red carrots with you, and you please sell my carrots to FCI. And he said, okay, I'll sell your carrots also. And the price of red carrots and price of market price of orange carrots was different. So in this case, it was duty of Bali that he should not have mixed up the red and the orange carrots. He should have kept those separate. Now, what happens in case he mixes up those two goods? So in this case, we can have three scenarios. The first scenario can be, uh, Hari said, okay, no issues, you can mix up both the carrots, you can sell it together. In that case, because it is in with his consent, whatever price they are going to receive from FCI, they are going to share that in the ratio of 10 quintal and 15 quintal. Price will be shared in this ratio. But in case Baylor has said, please don't mix up my goods with you, and you still mixed up those goods, those carrots, but these carrots can be separated. Orange and red carrots can be separated. So in this case, when he went to FCI, they said, we cannot buy these carrots unless you separate them. Now, separation is a big affair. Now, this person, Bali, he was to hire a laborer who was asked to separate these carrots. Now, these carrots were separated, but that laborer took some charges for the same. So now these charges of separation of these mixed up goods, which were mixed up without consent of bailor when he never wanted this to happen. So these charges will have to be borne by the bailee himself, Bali in this case. Third case, in case this was not the case of carrots, these were two types of rice. Now can you separate those rice? Rice cannot be separated. Now the rice of Hari were of better quality, basmati rice, and the rice given by Bali were of inferior quality. Because both of them were mixed up, they could not get the better prices for the better rice and lower prices for the lower. So an average price was given for the same. Now there's a loss of the bailor because his rice were better one. So in this case, goods cannot be separated, but the loss borne by a bailor because of your mixing up those two types of rice will have to be compensated by Bali. Bali, who's the bailee in this case. So this is the situation when goods are mixed up, which are not supposed to be mixed up. Core duty we have done already in the essentials, that you are supposed to return the goods paid. And in this case, I will also discuss this case, Shaw and Company versus Simons and Sons. Now, bailee is supposed to return the goods. After the purpose is accomplished, he will return the goods. But what if he makes some delay and he does not return the goods on time? Like happened in this case, there were certain books which were given for binding, and it was to be given back within a time of 1 week. But he delayed the return of the goods because binding was not done. And because of that delay, what happened? There was an accidental fire in the shop, and those books got burnt. So in this case, you made a delay, and in the delayed period, there is some act of God, which though it was beyond your control, but you still are supposed to compensate the loss of bailey because you have defaulted in delivery of the goods on time. So this is your duty to bear the charges, bear the losses yourself. Next is duty to return increase or profit. So sometimes something of this sort happens, that when you give away the goods and when you take back the goods, in between that time period, there is some change. Something happens because of this, there is some addition to the goods which you have delivered. Like you gave away a cow to a friend to take care of that cow because you were going away. And when you came back, the cow has a calf also. So now you will not say that I will only return the cow. You also will have to return the calf as well. So while returning, you have to return the increase or any addition or any profit as well. Another duty is duty not to set up adverse title. Now let me first explain what is adverse title. Adverse title means when somebody is not the true owner of something. His title is defective. Title here is ownership. Your ownership is defective. Either you have bought the goods with fraud, or you are not the true owner. The goods are stolen one, and those stolen goods you have bailed to somebody else. Now in this case, bailee is not supposed to raise any question or any doubt about this defective title. He simply need to take the goods, use the goods, and after the purpose of the bailment is accomplished, he is supposed to return the goods. So these are the duties of the first party, bailee. So with that, I end with uh, this topic here. So we'll move on to the next topic in the next video.